So it seems Daily Who Would Wins are starting off with a bang-up job, as I didn't get to yesterday's. But you know what? Got some time before work. I'm just gonna do both. Crack them out right now. One of them has actual information. The other one I know enough about them to just do off the top of my head. So this one comes for us from James Rayner. Just this while back. I just never got to it because I never knew who Koro Sensei was. But we have Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen and DC Universe versus Koro Sensei from Assassination Classroom, or Assassin's Classroom, depending on your pronunciation, or looking it up. And I didn't know who this character was. I've never watched the anime. I never read the manga. So I looked it up, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then I actually watched some clips from the show, and I'm like, I kind of need to watch this anime now. This character's awesome. So we'll do with Dr. Manhattan first. And Dr. Manhattan was, I can't remember his original name right off the top of my head, but he started off as human, but in a particle experiment, he got caught and basically got deconstructed, got dematerialized down to his near his base particles. He was barely able to keep his DNA intact, but his consciousness was still alive. Over time, he was able to learn to control his molecules, his atoms, and basically eventually reform into Dr. Manhattan. Because of everything that's happened, he now has the following abilities. He is nigh omnipotent. He kind of has he has cosmic awareness, is nigh omnipotent. He almost knows nearly everything that's going on due to a combination of abilities, including, again, cosmic awareness, being able to travel and survive in any atmosphere he wishes, ability to see into his own future. He can't see necessarily into the future, like the true future, but he can see basically everything that happens in his future. Which is why time this is why time is a very weird concept for him now. Where was I going with that? Oh, he's ageless. He's more or less immortal to that sense. The world grows, as he once said, I think the world grows elderly as I do not change. He had, as I said, chronokinesis, which, he can see into his own future. Biovision, which is essentially that's when you see him making the copies of himself, perfect organic copies of himself, and then, I can't remember the term for it, but basically reassembling those copies with him. Again, cosmic awareness. He's aware of more or less a lot of the fabric of the universe at this point. Excuse me. Energy constructs. You see this happening in the movie where he makes pretty much that giant watch sculpture thing. I think he made a giant watch on Mars. Energy projection. He can fire energy blast, things along those lines. Flight and flight, but it's more used in a form of floating levitation. It's theorized he could move faster, but unless he proves that he can, you can't use that in this fight. He can create force fields, which are insanely strong, not invincible, but pretty strong. Immortality, as I said, intangibility and phasing. He can make himself phase through others and other things, and make other people phase through other things as well. As well as, having things just pass right through his body, as demonstrated when Jupiter, something Jupiter, the female, one second, I'm gonna look up that name real quick, because that Miss Jupiter I want to say Jupiter was in there. Watchmen. Okay, Watchmen. All right. Or was it Saturn? No, Silk Spectre. That was what it was. Why was I getting Jupiter? It was Silk Spectre. That was it. I'm pretty certain. One second. Characters. Yep, Silk Spectre. That was it. When she threw that, I can't remember what it was, a wrench or something, and he let it just phase right through him. Excuse me. He's more or less he can be injured if you get him if you use the right ability on him, but he is nigh invulnerable. He walked across the surface of the sun without a scratch, so it's not easy to hurt him, but you can theoretically hurt him. Now, molecular reconstruction. This is a big one. This is the one where this is where you see him taking things apart and then reassembling them, or disintegrating something, like when he does makes people explode more or less. That's that ability you're seeing a lot of the time. Of course, molecular reconstruction also pretty much molecular would more or less mean the actual molecules get rearranged. It's not just taking something physically apart, but molecularly apart. So, in theory, this is literally like alchemy, right? You could turn lead into gold if you wanted. The comedian even says like you could have turned the bullets in the water, the gun into snowflakes, but you didn't, did you? You know, so he could literally theoretically turn anything into anything as long as it's within its means of control. This allows him many degrees of abilities, including things like disintegration, regeneration, which he pretty much is, which is more limited to him than towards anyone else. Simply for the fact that it's not that he probably couldn't reassemble a person. It's the fact that he can do it. The reason he can do it, especially if he's able, like it's destroyed or something, is because he's able to do this on a subatomic level. 1 second, hold on. I just ate lunch, so I got like some backup crap in there. So yeah, that's the reason he can do it, because he's actually able to maintain his consciousness due to his abilities, which is why he can, again, subatomic, not true atomic level, but subatomic. At least I believe that's how that goes. Subatomic is smaller than atomic, isn't it? Or is it larger? I want to say it's sub is larger than actual atomic. Atomic particles. All right, subatomic. 3 main that form an atom. Okay, so literally he can go beyond atomic. He can go subatomic. And the question after that is there anything past subatomic? So basically, you would have to literally figure out a way. Well, we'll get to that in just a second. He also seems to tend to emit UV radiation. Not in the fact that it gives cancer like they were possibly saying in the story, but enough that it can cause, like, when he like radiates a lot of power, might give like sunburns to someone. He does have some time reality alteration. He once wiped out 10 years from when Flash did the whole Flashpoint. He wiped 10 years out of that new reality for no reason. Size alteration, super strength, telekinesis, and teleportation. His main weakness is really he suffers from mental illness because he becomes so detached from humanity. The only way you're really going to be able to fully put him down is to somehow vaporize him completely. For good, man. You put him down for good. It's theorized you can, and Ozymandias even showed it when he disintegrated. John was at least his first name. Disintegrated Dr. Manhattan temporarily, but then he just came back. So you can actually stop him for a little bit, but it's not an easy thing to do. Now, Koro Sensei. How do I explain this guy? He is a master assassin, probably one of the world's deadliest assassins in his world, his universe. But he was killed. But he came back, and I quote, as an antimatter yellow octopus with a constantly smiling face that changes color depending on his emotions. You can't make, only in anime, folks, only in anime. A yellow bipedal, mind you, octopus with an antimatter physiology. Now, for those of you who don't know what antimatter is, I will give you the very brief Wikipedia version of it. Antimatter. Antimatter. In particle physics, antimatter is a material composed of the antiparticles partners corresponding to particulars of ordinary matter. A particle and its antiparticle have the same mass as one, but opposite electric charge in other quantum numbers. So, let's be clear one thing. As people ask, what is antimatter used for? 1 second. We see it. We see its signature in cosmic rays, and it's routinely made in high-energy collisions like particle smashers the world over. In hospitals, radioactive molecules that emit antimatter particles are used for imaging and techniques known as emission topography. Okay. Is there more matter than antimatter? One of the experiments CERN has observed, blah, 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 blah. So the question is antimatter dangerous? Well, 1 gram, not ounce, not pound, gram of antimatter produces the same energy as the little big boy bomb dropped in Hiroshima, about 10 to the 14th power joules or 21 kilotons of TNT equivalent. So yeah, antimatter's no joke. And I believe, if I'm not correct, And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the reason antimatter is so dangerous, theoretically speaking, is because if it comes in contact with regular matter, it is supposed to basically it's supposed to be basically annihilate. They're supposed to just boom. They'd be kind of like just they cancel out each other's existence after that. Obviously, that's not the case in this anime. Something about Koro Sensei's physiology prevents him from affecting the world around him or people around him. But because of his antimatter physiology, he's literally immune to all weapons and all forms of harm, minus specialized weapons that were designed to kill him, or anti-sensei weapons, as they're called. Mostly from the forms of bullets and knives. They seem to be like rubber in nature, but they are seen to be that they're designed in a way that poison and kill his physiology. Now he is immune to all weapons. Yep, protect calling. He has a liquid form which he can still use most of his abilities in. He can use for traversing in tight corners. He can move at minimum the speeds of Mach 20, which is just shy. I believe it's Mach 23 is the space shuttle launching, which is just shy of the space shuttle launching. And he doesn't just move that in just travel speed. He moves that in legitimate speed. Now, he has something called Absolute Defense, which he hardens into a sphere, and he can fire energy blasts from that. His regeneration weakens to some extent after that, but he can still it's super reflexive even in his weakened states. He can make speed copies, like multiple versions of himself. Master Assassin, as I said. He has an edict, he basically has a perfect memory. That photocopy memory kind of stick. Now, that being said, he has many weaknesses, but some of the more notable ones that could affect the fight are he has weak punches overall. He's quick to panic, makes mistakes when he panics. He can't swim. The cult is a weakness of him. Sucks at hiding, so forth and so on. So, how does this fight break down? Koro Sensei, the Octopus Assassin, versus Dr. Manhattan. Well, let's say, because in the series, as I learned, one of the things was that he was basically going to blow up the world in a year, and so the government made a class and raised the class and given class weapons to eventually overcome and kill their sensei to save the world. And he was always jovial and everything like that. So I'm like, no, it's your job to kill me. I understand. Now, who wants ice cream? That's basically what the guy's like. And I'm like, this guy is awesome. So let's say Dr. Manhattan just like, no, he's a threat to the world and blah, 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 blah. So he just teleports after figuring out where he is. Koro Sensei is in this classroom teaching his class. Now, class, what are you going to do? And someone's about to fire. All of a sudden, Dr. Manhattan just boom. It's like, oh, and who are you, good sir? It's like, I am Dr. Manhattan. It's like, you threaten the world. I don't wish to hurt you if I don't have to. Well, it's very generous, sir. I wouldn't want to be hurt if I could. If I could avoid it. However, you're interrupting my class. If we would like to wait outside, it's like, and then just sees John just show up, raises his hand. He's about to... Sorry, my dad's kind of bitching at the dog, who's just really excited right now. Dom is really excited for some reason, probably because he's home. She loves her grandpa. Just raises his hand. He's about to... So he's like, whoop! And then Koro Sensei Koro Sensei is a master assassin. He can sense danger, and he can sense just how powerful John is. So he's like, oh, that's not good. And then just disappears at Mach 20. Just John, being omnipotent, can probably sense more or less sense Koro Sensei is still in the area. But because he's moving so fast, we've never seen... Here's the thing about this. We've never seen Dr. Manhattan really react very much. Because in his universe, at least not in the Watchmen movie or in the original graphic novel, we've never seen him have to deal with actual superpowered beings. He was the special case. He was the superpowered being. So he's never had to react to anything, as far to the best of my knowledge. Koro Sensei immediately, uses Mach speed, just boom, smashes John out of the building. John's on the ground, but he stands back up. He's no worse for wear. I was a little surprised that he wasn't able to find your speed. You're moving at least at Mach 20. It's like, oh my god! It's like that's amazing. You did better than that than my class. And then, John's about to try to disintegrate him, but he's moving fast enough, creating his speed clones, getting hits on John. And then eventually, boom! John's head just goes flying off his body. It's like, well, this was fun, but time to go back, teach my class. And this is strange. And all of a sudden, Koro Sensei just goes, huh? Just turns around, sees the talking head with Dr. Manhattan, and then Dr. Manhattan's body just walks over and just picks his head up and just reattaches. Like, huh? It's like, you just put your head back on your head. What? Now Koro Sensei is just freaking out. It's like, I'm just feeling a little exposed right now. Now all of a sudden, just like, yes, it's like, you are dangerous. It's like, I must destroy you. It's like, well, what are you gonna do? Dr. Manhattan then suddenly realizes, like, your physiology is different. It's like, I know this pattern, this energy, but I can't quite pinpoint it. What is it? And then it's like, well, I better take care of this real fast. Goes into ultimate absolute defense. Or was it ultimate or absolute? Absolute defense. Fires laser. And then John is basically just incinerated. Now, Koro Sensei is now weak, and he's like, well, that was close. Now, class, back to today's lesson. So anyway, we were just saying, did you really? And all of a sudden, he hears Dr. Manhattan's voice again. Did you really think that would be enough to an attack like that, impressive as it was, to stop me? And then just the sweat going to and all the kids were just like, did you see just giant Dr. Manhattan standing there? Reassembling myself was the first trick I learned after my accident. Just Koro Sensei. Or actually, no, it'd be with his face, so it'd be. It's like, now I know why it's changed me. Your body physiology is composed of antimatter. No matter. I'm just adjusting the electrons, and poof, and then Koro Sensei's just gone, dead. So, yeah, here if it wasn't for the fact that, despite having an antimatter physiology, it doesn't behave as antimatter is supposed to, because he couldn't exist in the real world if he was truly composed of antimatter in that regard, because he wouldn't be able to interact with anything, basically. So his antimatter physiology must only pertain pretty much to his invulnerability, his personal protection. He can still interact with the world and everything like that. So, and when you break it down, Koro Sensei doesn't have anything that can put John down for good. He's just, he could probably temporarily take John down, but he couldn't put him down for good. There's no real way Koro Sensei wins the fight. He'd be a unique match for John. That's for certain. John would actually have his hands full for a short time, but in the end, I do believe that, and I keep saying John because that's his first name. In the end, it's going to be Dr. Manhattan takes us 100% of the time. So, yeah, Dr. Manhattan beats Koro Sensei 100%. But let me know if you think differently. If you got an idea for who would win, put in the comments below. Let me know. We'll get to it at some point. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you have ideas for any of the videos I do on the channel, Dragon Ball Z, who would win, what if, superhero, magic, anything I do, put it in the comments below. Let me know. We'll get to it at some point. I'll be back with today's actual who won. This was technically Mondays, but we're doing them all in one go. So this next one will be quick. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.